It's a hybrid mentality. It's a hybrid idea. You know, we take a little bit from everything. We kind of meld it together and we all help each other. And as long as you go into this business and know that you're never done learning, I think you'll have a blast, man. But if you tell yourself, in a year I'm going to learn everything. In 5 years I'm going to learn everything. You're going to have a bad
Yeah.
time, man. You're going to have a bad time. So I would say they've instilled a lot in me, but the biggest thing I've learned is be patient, enjoy the ride, and you're never done learning, man. You're never done learning. There's always something cool out there. It's crazy, bro.
So, on the third season of Crash Course, and we highlight a lot of the wrestling schools here in the state of Texas, and we have the Hybrid School of Wrestling, which I visited a couple of times. But we'll first start with one of the coaches, and we have Diego Renay here on the program. Thanks for coming in.
Of course, brother. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, because, of course, you stepped into the school. How long have you been in Hybrid from training to now what you're doing in the ring?
It's been, to be completely honest with you, I'd have to sit down and kind of count it out. I haven't done that. I
It's
know
not
there's a
long.
lot of people who keep, yeah, well, there's a lot of people who keep tabs on everything. They can tell you like their first day and all that. But I've been kind of like just enjoying the ride, kind of trying to like just live it. So I would probably put it at about 5 years, maybe.
Okay.
That's not 5 years full wrestling. That includes training, graduating, and then hitting the scene, of course.
Nice. And of course, stepping into the school, before you even became a student, what was your first impression of coming into hybrid?
My coming into hybrid was a little different than some other people, and that's not to say everybody. Everyone has a different journey. But for
Right.
me, it was overnight. So I wasn't back into the wrestling scene here 100%, and so I didn't know about hybrid. And so seeing hybrid for me was literally one day to the next. And so when I came in, the first day I ever came to hybrid was the first day of the hybrid experience. And so I had
Right.
already signed up. I did the challenge. And so my first day here was like already with watching the talent, the workers, and then them putting me through work and me seeing them work out while I'm dying, and then see a bunch of guys I've never seen before try to do it along with me. And so we're all dying on push-ups and sit-ups. And then I had what was it, black belt Jesse James for one of them, and of course he's the guy's martial artist. Like he put me through it, and so to answer your question, it was terrifying. It was daunting, and it looked like a long journey ahead of me. But once I got into it, it all started to flow pretty well. And so getting in, it's always going to be scary. It's always going to be daunting because you're going to see people who have built up something, and you just have to keep in mind that you're on the same track. So to answer you, I guess when you go to any wrestling school, it's going to be scary at first, especially when you have a bunch of killers there. But if you just focus, you try, dedicate, you can make it through, man. You can make it through.
What was the motivation for you to even go into the school? Like, I'm sure like there were some reservations, but what was the motivating factor for you to choose hybrid over every other wrestling school in Texas?
For one, it's the work ethic. That's going to be the first thing. If you'll take a look behind me, we don't usually do this, but I thought this would be a really cool one for you to see. So you're going to see the students that are coming by me right now. And so they're training right now on a rainy Monday. They're still out here putting in the
Oh,
work. And that's what we instill. That's what we try to make sure everybody knows is that when you get to hybrid, you're going to put in the work. It's not enough for me to be like, go to the gym and go eat right, and then I'm going to trust that you're doing that, and I'm only going to teach you wrestling here. We focus on all aspects of it. And so right off the bat, that's something that got me super excited was because I didn't just want to wrestle. I was already out of shape. You know, I hadn't done anything. And so knowing that they had my back and getting into that was a huge factor for me. But after seeing the work that they've put out, seeing the talent that has come out of here, the people that have been signed, the people that have gone on to do major shows like WWE, AEW, TNA, all that, it gets you excited and it shows you what you can do, which, to answer you plainly, growing up, nobody ever told me that I could do this. No one ever told me that you
oh,
can do something like that. You can do this, you can do that. I grew up a fan of mixed martial arts and boxing, all kinds of combat sports. But I am short, and I've been told my whole life, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. And I believed everybody for the most part. It wasn't until I came to hybrid, I met a bunch of these guys. They put me through the work, and I started like seeing results that I was like, you know what? Because even in that first year, you're still not 100%, oh, I'm doing the right thing. You're still kind of like, are they testing me out? Am I just kind of here? But then there's those moments where you realize, you know what? I do belong. I am in the right place. And somebody probably should have told me that a long time ago. But the one thing I've learned is that nobody owes you anything. You don't owe anybody anything but yourself. And so on the opposite end, I guess what I'm trying to do now is help people understand that you can. You can, you can, you can, you can. I haven't got signed. I haven't made it just yet, but I am on my way. I am hoping for those things. And I want everybody out there who feels like maybe they're too big, too small, too tall, too short, or too old, too young. If you think that you can't do it, man, there's somebody who did, and you got to follow that plan, create your own, and make it happen. I don't think that anybody can't, is what I'm saying. I don't think anybody can't. But you should tell people they can, and so that's what we're doing here, and that's what made me want to come here, was somebody told me I could, and I did. So that's a long answer, but that's the idea, essentially.
Yeah, because like I was thinking too, because of course, Coach Marvel, Don Juan, and Show,
Yeah.
how much of their knowledge in the wrestling business has instilled in you as you're starting to really know the ins and outs of what the wrestling business could be?
Yeah. It's crazy, man, because I don't see an end in sight. When it comes to things like
Okay.
this and things you love, you kind of go, I'm always going to be learning. I'm never going to be, you know what, I know how to do that. I know how to do all of this. And even now, man, when I meet guys that I got to work with or I got to wrestle, I it's more, how do I say it, man? It's just it's a passion you develop, and you always want to get better, and you always want to learn more. It's not enough to win a title. You need more. It's not enough to get that one match on WWE. You need more. And it's crazy when I meet guys who are 40, 50, 60, and we talk about a spot or something, and they go, "Whoa, I didn't think about that." And it blows my mind because I'm
Yeah.
like I'm nobody, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking of this, but it comes from the years that Marvel has put in. It comes from the years that Don Juan has put in. It comes from the years that Brandon Weiss put in, who is another one of the guys that trained me coming up. Brandon
Right.
Weiss, I owe a lot to. But to answer that, like they put a lot of knowledge into me, man, but it's not even close to where it should be. And I'm constantly learning, constantly taking from here and there, and that's what ends up with the name hybrid. It's a hybrid mentality. It's a hybrid idea. We take a little bit from everything. We kind of meld it together, and we all help each other. And as long as you go into this business and know that you're never done learning, I think you'll have a blast, man. But if you tell yourself, in a year I'm going to learn everything. In 5 years I'm going to learn everything. You're going to have a bad time, man. You're going to have a bad time. So I would say they've instilled a lot in me, but the biggest thing I've learned is be patient, enjoy the ride, and you're never done learning, man. You're never done learning. There's always something cool out there. It's crazy, bro.
The foundation that every coach that you had in
Right.
your time in hybrid, when you had the certificate and you got the thing that says I'm a professional wrestler, that foundation builds up to where you're going in the wrestling business.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's in a way, yes, and in a way, no, which is crazy.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
if you look at it like this built me, it's essentially the hill I'll die on. If you die on that hill, man, you're
Oh,
never going to
okay.
get
Gotcha.
anywhere. Then that's the beauty of it, is when you look at guys, and I'm realizing this too. When you look at guys, Eddie Guerrero, let's look at Eddie Guerrero.
Yep.
from his time in WCW, and then when he joined with the Radicals, and then later on in life when he became Eddie, Big Eddie, short hair Big Eddie.
Yeah.
He was constantly changing, and yes, 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 he had the greatest foundation, the
Yeah.
legacy and all that. Uh,
The
but
Guerreros. Yep.
but he didn't always wrestle the same. He didn't always cut promos the same. Just like everybody, bro. Yes, remember where you came from. Of course, I believe that, but give
Okay.
yourself room to add to that, man. So yes, the foundation that they built for me helped me get that certificate, but it doesn't mean I'm not still trying to add to my to the foundation essentially, and that happens with the seminars.
Oh,
That
okay.
happens with seminars. Like Marvel brings in these guys. They come in, they teach us, and I learn so much, and then I have to go. Okay, that's not something that I need to know now. It's something I wish I would have known then. So then I put it into the bank of things that are that foundation, if that makes sense. My point is, yes, you come from somewhere, but you got to be malleable, man. If you want to make it in the business, and if you want to have a good time, you got to be able to change, and that means changing your style, changing your look, changing the way you talk. Sometimes you got to wrestle more, sometimes you got to wrestle less. It really just depends on where you're at, not just in your career, but that night, man. I mean, if you're in Mexico and you're running a lucha show, they want crazy stuff, man. They want big stuff. But maybe we're doing something small. Maybe we got to tell good stories, and we can captivate the crowd that way.
Because I was thinking too, because I was on one of those shows at Hybrid a few weeks ago, and to see how the students highlight their skills as wrestlers, how much of that has helped a lot for not only you but also to the students who are in Hybrid.
It's awesome, man, because it's you get to see the fruits of your labors essentially, right? A lot of times when it comes to um, I don't like equating sports. It's tough because every sport is different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but you training for pro wrestling is tough, right? We do it every day. We do it every week. We do it for hours, and it's hard. Training for boxing, difficult. It's hard. You do it for hours. You do it every day. Very different sports, very different entertainment aspects, but with boxing, you have your sparring sessions, you have, and forgive me if I sound ignorant on any of it, but you have your sparring sessions, and then you have your big match you've been training for. With
Yeah.
pro wrestling, it's like, man, we train every day, we're wrestling every weekend. And so for boxing, I just feel like you have to wait until that one big match. You have that match, you watch that tape back, you study it. But here, we wrestle every weekend. Every weekend, you have a chance to watch yourself back. But not just yourself, the people that you idolize are the people that you were training with. So, say one person graduates, but they've been training with you for 6 months. Now you watch them have your match, and it should fire you up. It should show you everything that you trained with for the last 6 months you spent in the trenches with that guy. And that guy just had his moment. And that should excite you and be like, you know what? My moment is next week. My moment is in 2 weeks. My moment is in a month. There's no I mean, I'm sure there is, but there's no sport in my mind, or entertainment, type business in my mind, where we're constantly watching ourselves back, constantly checking out what we're doing, and with all the peers around us, it's constant learning. So being able to do those shows in a live setting with a live crowd, and have these cats come out and try their personas, try their new moves, try their training. It's not just rewarding for them, but the people around them, because now we get to watch it together. We get to critique it together. You can watch that match and come straight to me and ask me how they did, how you did, what you should have done different, what they could have done different, and it's all in house. So to answer that, like, man, it's priceless. It's priceless being able to train 1 minute and then have a match the next minute in the same ring you train in every day, in the same building you train in every day, with the same people you trust every day, and there's absolutely no reason that you should fail in that setting.
Because I think part of it too is just the fan interaction and seeing how each show, all of these students can look to the crowd and see how they gauge things. How much of critiquing has become a really essential part for the students who are trying to learn to be professional wrestlers.
Huge, huge. It goes back to what we talked about earlier, man, where I said you're never done learning. The first thing you should be doing is asking how things went. You should be asking, what can I do better? How can I be better? How can I have done this better versus that better? And yeah, you give yourself your props, give yourself your flowers. I did this well, I did this well, they react to this was great. But how can I be better? And that's always what it's going to come down to. So in this business, critiquing it comes with the territory. You have to get used to it. You have to develop that thick skin, because the way that I see it is like we can't sugarcoat everything, man. We can't sugarcoat everything. And I'm not taking it to the extreme where I'm like, I'm going to beat you down or anything. It's real simple. It's just if you messed it up, man, I saw you messed it up. I'm going to tell you you messed it up, and let's fix it together. Let's work on it together so that it doesn't happen again, or so that we create a better product next time. And so to answer that, critiquing is essential. It's essential, and you have to be able to take it if you're willing to dish it as well. That's another thing that people got to understand is it's not a one-way street. It's got to go both
Right.
ways. But point is, we're always watching each other. We're always training together. And then again, with these matches that we have at Hybrid, we get to watch each other and then we get to talk about it. And so you should always expect the critique, always expect the critique. And if no one gives you one, bro, ask for one, ask for one. Somebody has something. Maybe they just, and this is, I'm glad I'm saying this because this is for everybody. This isn't just for wrestling. This is for life, man. If you do something and you want to know how people feel, but nobody told you anything, ask, because maybe they're afraid to tell you. Maybe they're just nervous to tell you, but maybe it's something you got to hear. You know what I mean? And so that's my biggest thing on critiquing. It's essential, bro. It's essential. And so, and we do it a lot, and we do it a lot.
Yeah, because like for you now to now coaching all of these students, what was that dynamic like from someone who's being taught? Of course, teaching is constant, but for you to have the experience to pass on what you've learned from everything that you've done, both in school and what you're doing outside, how can you help the students to not only become better wrestlers, but to become better people?
The first part, man, is understanding that I'm not perfect and understanding that my journey isn't over either, but also that I appreciate the term coach, but when it comes to my position at Hybrid, I consider myself more of a leader as opposed to a
Okay,
coach.
okay.
I like to be in the trenches with everybody. I like to feel what everybody's feeling, hear what everybody's hearing, and do what everybody's doing. So I try to not get. I just don't want anyone to look at me here. I did the same thing
Oh,
that you
okay,
guys are
right. I
doing.
see.
Yeah, I did the same thing you did. I did the same stuff you're going through. I felt the same emotions. I cried as many times as you did. I celebrated as many times as you did. I'm here to tell you that, like, I know what it's like. And I just want to be a pillar for you to come and talk to me and say, hey, man, how do I deal with this? How do I get better at this? How do I get better at that? The hardest part, though, was the transitioning from I'm training with all these people that are my friends and my peers, and we're wrestling on the same shows. We're doing the same things. That guy's better than me at this. That guy's better than me at this. That guy's better than me at this. I'm better than them at this. I'm better than them at this.
Yeah.
But that's the point of critiquing in Hybrid now, because you're better at that and I'm better at this. We mix it. But it is tough when it's time and someone taps you and says, okay, now you lead. And that's where you have to navigate that line of like, hey guys, I'm not trying to take anything over. I just want to help. But it's more than helping. So to answer this next part, I'm not so much spreading my experiences in the short time that I've learned things. I'm passing on the style of Hybrid. I studied it inside and out. I spent every day here, morning to night. I spent hours in this gym, picking Marvel's brain and watching footage and practicing before class, after class. I did all of that, and that's just stuff that I want to pass on to the next generation of students coming to hybrid, and it's pretty much the basics, the fundamentals. That's what I'm trying to instill in everybody. When it comes to road experience, I can only tell you what I've been through in the past 5 years. You're going to want to talk to guys like Marvel. You know, that's where the melding of minds and coaches comes in handy with having show. You can talk to him about those big time shows. Talk to him about life in the WWE, life in a big company. You can talk to Marvel about all the years he spent, you know, in the indies and the opportunities he got with big companies, and maybe the not so nice side of things that he's seen, but also what it's like to run a wrestling school, what it's like to be at this stage in your life, you know, working and teaching. But then you have Don Juan, of course, too, who has a plethora of experience. So to answer you, man, I'm strictly doing my job, and I'm passing along the fundamentals and the basics of the act of pro wrestling. The rest, man, we're learning together. I'm learning alongside all of them, man, and that's the way I like it. That's the way I really enjoy it.
Yeah, because before we even delve, because we are going to talk about the Texas streets and how that formed. I noticed there was a lot of the plaques that are on. I don't say plaques, but like the how do I say the people who are in the rafters, like Maddie, Red Sinclair. I almost said the other name, Red
Got you.
Sinclair. We
You got
saw
like
Joey
banners.
Hyder and yeah, banners. That would be better. So
Yeah.
to have these banners up there, and what does that mean for you? Because I think you were one of the banners too. So
Yeah,
that
I have
was
a banner up
another
there.
thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So to have these banners, but for the students who are looking up at those banners, what does that mean to say that, hey, well, it's not like it's a step up from what they're doing with
Right.
these banners, but
Right.
to how is that symbolic for them to train over at hybrid?
It's it's crazy, man, because um like my personal experience, right? With like working out, right? So like working out. I used to have like a home gym. I really enjoy the gym that I have here at Hybrid. And then of course like Gold's Gym. But I really enjoy smaller local gyms. And I like gyms that put posters on the wall. Our old coach, our old cardio coach, Coach Mark, he used to have a banner here at Hybrid, and it was an Arnold poster, and it was him like this after he had just
Oh,
won, and
that's cool.
it said conquer, and so that's something that I absolutely love. Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of my all-time favorite human beings. Like, and but that would get me motivated. It would get me excited, and that's always been something for me that I love. So when I first came into hybrid and I saw the banners of the guys that came before me, it was something that inspired me, and it made me like, man, okay, there's Brandon Weiss on the banner when he first started, and here's Brandon Weiss now. You know, I can do the same thing. I can do that same thing. And then when I started like actually putting up the promo photos, or I see the first pictures of me, I'm like, okay, I
I
can't
did
wait
it.
to
I
get.
did
Well, yeah, you're like,
it.
I did it, and I can't wait to get a better one. I can't wait till I look cooler, till I get better gear, until I'm on a better show, until I have a better promo picture,
Yeah.
a better logo. So it gets you excited. But to see something as, I mean, and for the people that don't know, the people that aren't like haven't been here or seen, these banners are huge. The banners are huge. They're
Yeah.
you know, for me standing, they're like up to here. I'm not very tall either, but they're big banners. And so to look up at it, man, see yourself in your gear, see where you came from with your body, see where you came from with your image and your look. It's awe inspiring, it's exciting, and it makes you feel like, you know what, this is real. This is legit, you know? Somebody, man, there's much more to it, right? It's like you love and care
Yeah.
about yourself enough that you change the way you live to earn this. But on the other side, bro, I don't know if you think about this, somebody loves and cares you enough that they went and made this banner with you on it,
Yeah.
with your name on it, with your picture on it. And so to me, it's much more than just like looking up at it and knowing that you can do that or you did it, but knowing that you are loved, you are cared for, you are appreciated, and that's what you're hoping to gain from this business. Essentially, is that self worth, you know?
And it takes away that it's almost like a lot of the guys got out of their way to saying, "Hey, you've done so much at Hybrid that we'll put this in recognition of all the hard work and effort that they've gone through
Right.
over their time over at Hybrid."
Right. Yeah. It's a checkpoint. It's a trophy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something you can. Isn't it cool, man? You get to come to class every day, like getting ready to work. You look up and you're like, "That's me. I did it.
It's
I
like,
did it."
hey.
And knowing that, like when I'm not here and people come in, they see it, and it's awesome, man. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, because of course you're part of the faction with the Texas Streets, and a lot of you guys are hybrid. Of course, you're all hybrid guys with the Texas Streets.
Right.
How did that faction kind of came to be, and how did a lot of the training that these guys went through? It was um, how did that training kind of form the Texas Streets as that faction? Of course, Don Juan is there, but for the students who are either graduating or are graduated, like Callie and Tita and yourself and
David.
David Teen, how has that been such a really great faction for Hybrid for you guys to be there?
Um, it's interesting because I can't speak. Not that I can't. I won't speak to the beginning of the Texas Streets. Of course, that
Right.
is more Marvel and Don Juan's
Okay. Okay,
project,
that makes
right?
sense.
So, and it's not a disrespect thing. It's just a matter of like, you know, they built this, and I'm not going to take any part of that. I haven't been in this game nearly long enough, but so they built that, and it wasn't when I graduated. I started out wrestling a certain way, and I think more so Don Juan and Marvel were like, "There's something here that we can use. There's something here that we think we can work out," and that's what I mean by like you have to be able to take critiques and take criticism from people in the right way. And so they told me, "Hey, we think this would work for you. Think this would work for you." I said, "Yes, let's do it." And then here we are. So my joining of the Texas Streets was fairly simple. I'm a bad guy. They're bad guys. Let's do it. And it worked out.
That's so on the nose.
It was so easy, dude. I like to dance. They like to dance. I like to beat people up. It works out. And I think they needed that little bit of extra too. I brought in kind of like a younger feel, and I'm able to do a little bit more, high flying, a little bit some technical stuff. I have a good blend of character work from both of them. Of course, I can talk on the
Right.
microphone. I'm not gonna sit here and not put myself over. So I'm
You
like,
have to.
come on. So I have to like I can talk, man. I can wrestle. I can work. So I'm like, it just made sense to get me with the Texas Streets, I think. And it's been strong, man. Like ever since I joined them, my career's been, accolades, belts. Like I've wrestled names. I've had so much fun, bro. So for me, it was simple. It was easy. I graduated. I did my thing, and then they asked me to join. I said, heck yeah, and then here I am. When it comes to the other ones, man, as my understanding, it was a project in the making. They did want to build this Streets Nation. It is something that they had been talking about, and I remember talking about it. But as far as it coming along, man, you got to remember that we don't do the good things come to people who wait stuff, right? It's a matter of if you want it, you go and you get it. So joining the Texas Streets isn't something you can do. You don't join the Texas Streets. You get asked to join the Texas Streets. And so it's essentially something you have to earn. If you have shown the promise, you've shown you put in the work, and you show that you can bring something to the table, then of course, the treats are going to be at your door. Because you got to remember, how many matches have you seen from us where it's all of us? How many have you seen where it's half of us? How many where it's one of us? And so you need to be able to hold out or to hold your own essentially when you're by yourself. But when it comes to training, there's no better, man. I mean, look at Callie and Teen. They come from hybrid school of wrestling, bro. Their cardio is through the roof. Their work rate is through the roof. Their character work is through the roof, and there's no one that can out wrestle them. I mean, it makes sense to me that they would be with the best faction in Texas and the Texas Streets, if not the best faction in the world. But whatever.
That's up for interpretation, but I digress. So, I know you're on a short schedule. I know
Oh,
you
you're
need to get
good. You're
back to
good.
the
You're good.
school. So we'll end this conversation with this, and we have three more guys who are there, who are in varying types of experience.
Right. Right.
Hype us up on hype us up on what the series is all about with these three guys that are in this series.
Sure. Yeah. 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 Let me see who we got. We got Armani Sage. Yeah.
Yep.
Armani Sage. Oh my God, that guy, that kid is amazing, amazing. Since he came into training, man, he's put in the work. You know, he has good work ethic. Let me put this before. Let me say this about Armani Sage before anything else. He loves himself. The
Okay.
guy loves
Oh.
himself, bro. And what did I say earlier? You gotta love yourself, right?
Yep.
You gotta
Okay.
have that thing inside you that says I'm the best. And it's all of Armani is like I'm the best. And so I absolutely adore him. I think he's on the right track. I think you guys could learn a lot from the trials and tribulations that he's been through and the things that he's
Yep.
overcome. And maybe you'll gain a little more insight, not just to what it takes to become a hybrid wrestler from one of the people who have recently done it and have already hit the road, already seen success, but also maybe a little more into why Armani Sage is such a bad
Right.
guy. And then who do we got? We got Jaden, I think Jaden Valentino,
He
right?
he just graduated, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Just graduated, you know, fresh. But the thing is that he didn't wait for that certificate to already make a name. He didn't wait for that certificate to already hit shows and to already show out and be one of the best. I mean, I think the guy had a double booking the other night. I think he did two matches on one show. Like I'm
Wow.
talking, and that was out of town. Like the guy is on fire. He's absolutely amazing in the ring. I love his athleticism. He's so quirky, so different from what you're seeing out there
Yeah.
right now. And I think that's something that really catches on for him. But he's got charisma through the roof, whether
Yep.
you like him or
Yep.
you don't. And I don't know how. I guess I can say this, right? Because I'm a bad guy. And hanging out with Jaden Valentino is a blast to be around. The kid is a blast to be around. He's a treasure trove of knowledge, always learning, always watching, always coming in with something new. And one thing I absolutely love about Jaden Valentino is that they don't stick to one style. They are it's an epitome of what hybrid is. They're a hybrid wrestler. And I absolutely love that. Again, I think that's someone that you're going to learn a lot from when it comes to getting in here and doing the work. Because Jaden, everybody faces their own problems, trials and tribulations, and we'll let Jaden say if they've had any trouble. But I can tell you from strictly ring work, Jaden has come in and done the work. So if you want to listen to someone who's going to tell you straight, this is how you do it, just like they told you. Point A to point B, 1+1 is 2. Do it that way and you'll succeed. Jaden's the one to talk to. Jaden's the one to
Yep.
talk to.
And Sky Blackwell is going to be for an episode, and she's trying to break
Yeah.
into the business and training. So, what was that like?
Sky Blackwell is, I don't want to overstep. I think Sky Blackwell could be part of the future of pro wrestling here at Hybrid. I think that Sky Blackwell has dedication, she has determination, and my favorite thing about Sky is that she's always been one to say yes. She's always been one to raise her hand. And I think that's why she's seen so much success. Just like Jaden Valentino, where I was saying, hey, if I tell you it's 1+1 is 2, that's the way it goes. You got to do it like that every time. Don't try to find a way out. Sky Blackwell is that. And the thing is that when we're not at training and we're doing shows, whether it's in Austin, in San Antonio, or somewhere else, Sky Blackwell is there. Is she on the card? Not yet, but she's there. She's either helping out, she's running camera, she's running ring crew, she's in some position there to help out and to learn. And I think recently too, she even went on a road trip with us to Vegas, and I learned a lot about Sky on the road trip and her love for the game and her determination. And I think that right now she is in in the best position to be just to be one of the greats at hybrid when it comes to women's wrestling. I think that I think that she's awesome, man. She's a really genuine, sweet person, and I think she's going to do fantastic. But I will tell you this about Sky Blackwell. She does have a mean side. She does have an aggressive
Okay.
side. And I think that
I'll keep that in mind.
no one should take that for granted, man. She's the sweetest girl, but in that ring, she's a firecracker, dude. And
Okay.
I think that everyone's going to see that in time, man. I think that's a solid lineup, bro. You got three solid
There you go.
three solid
Yeah,
interviews there for people to see
that's
all
pretty
of what about
fun.
what hybrid does. All about what hybrid does. That's cool, man.
There you go. So, one of these guys will be a guest next week. So you'll have to tune in next Friday on who that is. But Diego, thank you so much for at least giving us an opening contest of what's happening
Of
with
course,
Crash
bro.
Course this season.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, bro. I really do.
Awesome. So we'll tune in if you are listening to YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Tune in for the next episode of Crash Course, and let's keep it going here on the next one.